Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Let's Talk About It with host myself, RenaeThaDiva. And I'm sorry that I missed you guys last week. I did have some family things going on. Glad to say or report that both my parents are now doing a lot better. So thank you again for your concerns, thoughts, and prayers. So I am here again with Let's Talk About It. And we talk about things that are kind of geared towards helping entrepreneurs in our community and people all around the world, here locally, and just in any aspect or way or shape or form we can, as far as being forward thinkers and again being an entrepreneur. So make sure you do go to code 1035, that's code 1035.com, which is our Yizer media platform, where you can see not only this show but all different types of shows. And Yizer is geared towards entrepreneurs and forward thinkers. So make sure you go out there, like, share, and subscribe. Also, we do have fundraisers. We are doing our Legacy Honor Bricks. You are a business, if you are a sorority, fraternity, if you are just an individual that wants to get a Legacy Honor Brick to honor your loved ones, even using it as a foundation piece, maybe you're building a new home or new building, you can do so. So to actually get one of our Legacy Honor Bricks, which is again our fundraiser where we actually help veterans and victims of sexual assault, you can go to shop Yizer, Yizzor.com, and you can get all the information and even sign up right there to get your Legacy Honor Brick. So now that we have that in the way with our sponsorship, let's talk about it. Shall we? Shall. So tonight's topic is something that's, again, still near and dear towards my heart with entrepreneurship. So the last few shows, we have actually talked about being an entrepreneur, what entrepreneurship is, some tips with insurance, some tips with planning for the future of your family in the event that you are no longer here. We've talked about a few different topics. So I say thank you again for tuning in. No matter what platform you're on, again, make sure you go out and subscribe to our Yizer page at code 1035.com. So tonight's topic, we are going to talk about entrepreneurship versus being an advocate. To me, they very much correlate with each other. If you are an entrepreneur, you definitely have some form of an advocacy to you. The reason why I say that is this. The old saying goes, stand for something or fall for anything. What that means is this: whatever you are in business to do, you in that business or that product are your brand. So you're going to advocate for that business, correct? Yeah, that's what you do. Believe it or not, that is what you're doing when you're advertising, marketing, or trying to get someone to participate and or buy your products. So tonight we're going to talk about, again, entrepreneurship versus advocacy. Shout out to my founder and CEO of Yizer Media, Mr. Dwayne Abernathy. Hey. And then shout out to, of course, Mr. Kenneth Brown and all of our team members there in Yizer Media. I say hello, greetings, and greetings. So let's talk about it. So let's start with, what is an entrepreneur? Some people don't know exactly what that is. Some people think as entrepreneurs, just a person that can say, I own my own business. I'm going to make my own schedule and I'm going to work when I want to. It's so much deeper than that. So let's talk about what the definition of an entrepreneur is. The definition of an entrepreneur is a person who starts and runs their own business, taking on the risk and rewards involved in creating a new venture, often by identifying opportunities and developing innovative ideas to bring a product or service to market. How many of you know that alone takes hours upon hours upon hours upon hours? So in some of my previous conversations with you, and let's talk about it, I have mentioned to you that being an entrepreneur means that you don't have standard work hours. A lot of times, and I have had to do this myself, people have to work for someone or in another capacity in order to be able to fund and or get off the ground their business, the entrepreneurship. If you're an entrepreneur, you know that is very much true. A lot of us aren't, I hate to say it this way, but a lot of us don't have a lot of financial backing to begin with to start their business. You may have a great idea, it may be an innovative idea, but as we all know, or at least most of us know, it's hard sometimes to get the funding or business loans to get your idea off the ground. So you have to think of other ways to do so, right? Right. So, with that being said, I will actually also go over, because of tonight's topic, what an advocate is. An advocate is a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy. So that's why I say that entrepreneurship and advocacy actually kind of coincide with each other. They kind of coexist. Because again, you as an entrepreneur, being an innovative thinker, you're trying to develop or market a product or a service that you want people to believe in, buy into, participate with, right? That's how you as an entrepreneur or a business owner make your money. This is what I will also say to that. And I'll go into more detail here here in just a little bit. But lately, this has been really, really prevalent in my life as an entrepreneur. So I am sure I am not the only one kind of going through this. You can experience, burnout or fatigue. So you have to be very careful not to burn out, crash out, whatever you want to call it. I know the kids have these different little things they call it, the terms these days. So I don't want to sound too old and date myself. But in an entrepreneurial phase or portion of your entrepreneurship, it's very easy to get burnt out. You have to remember why you started the business in the first place. Hopefully, you have done your investigation, you've done your research on the business, the product that you are selling and or marketing, and you have a real reason on why you started that business other than just making money. The reason why I say that is because if making money is your only focus in business, you're going to burn out pretty quickly, especially because in 90% of industries, you don't see a return on your business or a profit in your business right away. It usually takes a solid year to sometimes 2, maybe even 3, depending on, again, the industry you're in, to start to see a real profit. Whereas you can say, okay, now I can stop working the other job I was working in, or now I can put aside all of the other ventures and focus on just this to get my livelihood sufficient or going to be able to take care of your family, yourself, your daily bills outside of just your business. It does take at least 1 to 3 years, again, depending on which industry you are in. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart. What do I mean by that? It's easy to come up with innovative ideas. I think we are some pretty intelligent people, especially as Gen Xers. Yeah, I'm speaking, because I'm a Gen Xer. But not telling my age, not totally. Shh. But anyway, it's easy for people to come up with ideas. And it's also easy to be discouraged as an entrepreneur when you come up with ideas, because guess what? Maybe you're not the only person that thought of that particular idea. I am here today to encourage you not to get discouraged, because guess what? 2 things to that. 1, what's for you is for you. 2, you put in the work and you make yourself stand out and yourself be different, no matter how many people are selling the same thing or same product. Because guess what? You become your brand. That's how it becomes different. You make it different by what you bring to the table, whether it's customer service, whether it's follow-up, whether it's marketing, whether it's true boots on the ground kind of concept, as I call it. Again, it does depend on your industry, but those are the things that make you stand out and be different from your competitors, per se. Now, entrepreneurship, again, is a different breed of people, I call them. Because you do have to be forward thinking, you have to be ready for change, you have to be ready for uh, not your typical 9 to 5 kind of hours, a variety of things. Being an entrepreneur and having a work life balance becomes hard, especially in the very beginning. We've talked about how it is very important to have a work life balance. I definitely encourage you to do that because, again, what happens if you don't? You crash and you burn. Simple as that. You're no good to anyone if you don't take care of yourself. So I definitely encourage you to do self care. Now, we talked about what it is to be an entrepreneur. Let's talk about what it is to be an advocate some more. So again, we talked about advocacy is a person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or a policy. As a business owner, I don't care if you are white, if you are black, if you are green, if you are purple, whatever your nationality, your race, your creed, your color may be. You know why? Because at the end of the day, the monies you spend with my business are either green, a coin, whatever colors those coins are, or it's a credit card, whatever color your credit card is. That means stop discriminating and saying, I'm not going to service this person because they're this race or color or creed. I'm not going to service that person because they're this race, color, or creed. Right now in the US, we are in such a pivotal time. And what I mean by that is this. I have never been one to tell you who to vote for. I have been, however, an advocate and tell you to vote, to make sure that you do vote. I will always do that because so many people fought for our rights as a human race to have the right to vote. These rights are being challenged left and right. For us entrepreneurs and or advocates, it's really a trivial and pivotal time in our society. What do I mean by that? Well, guess what? Not only depending on, again, what industry you're in, are products being affected because a lot of our products are shipped from outside of the US, but also you have to realize that the spending dollar of the average US citizen has changed drastically. What do I mean by that? Guess what? Who ever thought you would be paying $5 to $10 per a dozen of eggs? Never in a million years did I think I was going to see that in my lifetime. But guess what? We're here and we're now. Being an advocate would say that I am going to do everything in my power. I'm going to use my voice, my platform, my products, my business, for one, to be in a service industry, to make sure that I'm helping people that need help. Two, I'm also going to advocate, or I'm going to differentiate and make sure that people that are less fortunate, that are in need, have a voice and have what they need. What does that mean? A lot of times it means that I'm doing things that may not even be publicized, and I'm okay with that. Why? Because I am a true advocate. I'm an advocate for human rights. I don't care what race, creed, color, sexual orientation you are. If you are hungry and I see you, I'm going to try to make sure that you get fed. That's what being a true advocate means. Now, because I do have a business or businesses, and I am an entrepreneur, there are things that I do on a corporate level to try to help those who are less fortunate out. That is part also of being not only an entrepreneur, but an advocate. So again, these are just examples or reasons why these things kind of correlate with each other. Can I tell you as an entrepreneur that you need to do more? I can. Will you listen to me? Probably not. But guess what? At least I've done my part. I've made it known that there are needs for others on my platforms and said, I, Renee Parker, RenaeThaDiva, whichever capacity I am in at that time, will use my voice and my platform as an entrepreneur and a business owner to make sure that I am encouraging others to help. Now, I know we have all seen those people in our cities, no matter where you are throughout the United States, because this platform goes national with Yizer Media. So no matter where you are in the United States, but especially here in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is where I am now, I can say that I definitely have seen people that are on the street corners that have the signs up saying, hey, need help, need food, what have you. To know me is to know that I actually did a thesis on people that are what we call panhandling in state laws back in my earlier college years. In doing my thesis, I did discover that a lot of people are very much educated. It's not that they cannot go out and find gainful employment per se, or that they can't start businesses. But guess what? They choose this as their form of employment or making money. We all can have our own opinions about that. But what I will say is this: the entrepreneurial spirit in those people to be able to even get out there and panhandle just needs to be rechanneled. These people are not to be looked down on. A lot of times they're veterans, or they're family members of veterans, or they are mothers and fathers that have families at home. Are some of them drug addicts per se? Sure, I'm sure there are. Are some of them mentally incapable? Possibly so. But the majority of them are not. They have just simply chosen a different path than you and I have. Again, not to be looked down on, but they have just, again, chosen a different path. Me being an entrepreneur and an advocate, I'm coming live even on this platform and saying, hey, let's do what we can to help that person out. If it's a matter of, if they're a veteran, get them in contact with their VA reps. If it's a matter of they are hungry, give them food. You know, if you have a few dollars, give them a few dollars. You know, what they do with it at that point, once you hand it to them, is none of our business. We've done our part. We made it right with God, the universe, or whoever you serve and believe in. We've done our part. We can't downgrade or look down upon people if we're not willing to be the change advocate to make things different for them and for our country and our nation and our people in our state, even our loved ones. I think we all have experienced having a loved one that has chosen, per se, to be out and about in the wilderness, if you want to call it that way, or out on the streets versus having a stable place to stay in or live. Some of the people that I talked to when I did my thesis said just that. They could easily stay with family members or friends or relatives, but they choose to be out there because then they still feel like they are in control of their life, their destiny. Again, you can't be mad at that. The advocate in me says, okay, yes, you do organize the drives. You organize the give backs. You organize getting out with family members, friends, coworkers, whomever, and you go to your missions or your shelters and you donate blankets. You go to where the homeless are, safely, of course, because sometimes some of these surroundings can be considered what they call unsafe, especially being a young woman or an older woman, whichever one you want to call me. I say I'm still 25 in my head, but you know, we ain't gonna talk about that. But but being an advocate means that, you know, you go meet the needs. You don't have to publicize all the time when you do these things. The needs don't change because it's public or non-public. That's part of being a true advocate. One of my favorite advocates here in the state of Indianapolis, Indiana, is Mr. Gregory Merriweather. And Gregory and I have known each other for a number of years now, and people have a love-hate relationship with him. Gregory, I hope you're watching this. And yes, I'm sure, you know, we'll talk about this again some more. But he recently made a post, went live discussing an individual that he had an exchange with And the individual was mad at him because they were praising an ex drug dealer or convict, and versus praising someone that was actually doing something for their communities. Some of our greatest advocates have come from I will say humble beginnings, just to say it that way, but some of our greatest advocates have been imprisoned, have been convicted wrongfully or not wrongfully, have come from humble beginnings where they didn't get raised in a mother and father kind of household, where they were raised maybe in a single parent household, or maybe they were orphans. Some of our greatest advocates and entrepreneurs have started out that way. And guess what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter necessarily your background, your upbringing, but what you're doing presently and where you're going to be in your future. That is part of true advocacy and entrepreneurship. So let's take just a quick commercial break. So again, if you're just joining, this is RenaeThaDiva, and this is Let's Talk About It. And tonight's topic is entrepreneurship versus advocacy. Being an entrepreneur versus being an advocate, and how they kind of coincide with each other. So again, if you are just joining us, thank you for joining. Make sure you go out to code 1035.com so you can see not only this show or this broadcast, but you can see all of the Yizer Media lineup. There are plenty of topics out there. Yizer Media is founded on and definitely wants to be part of being forward thinking and for the entrepreneur. No matter what your race, creed, or color, we want to be able to help you be successful. So that again is what Yizer Media is all about. We definitely say thank you again for watching and tuning in. I'm going to show this real quick. Again, we do have a fundraiser going on. Our fundraiser actually helps veterans against military and sexual assault. So what we do in our fundraisers, we ask you to purchase one of our Legacy Honor bricks. If you are viewing this, you can actually see the actual bricks. They are nice size bricks. You can have your name on there. You can have your business name on there. You can honor a loved one if you want to do it as a memorandum. We also do have, representation for our military brothers and sisters. So if you served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, you can put that information on there. Again, the bricks cost is $308.33. Everybody says that's an odd number, but guess what? That is something that you can write off on your taxes if you're a business owner. And again, it's a pretty minimum cost, and all of our funds go to help our victims of military sexual assault. So we have that fundraiser going on. Make sure you go to shopyizer.com, where you can call 847-232-9368 and press option number 4, and someone will be more than happy to go ahead and get you that information. So that has been my commercial break. If you are just joining, thank you again for joining. This is RenaeThaDiva, and this is Let's Talk About It. So tonight we are talking about entrepreneur versus advocate and how they kind of coincide with each other. So we've discussed what an entrepreneur is, and just to kind of recap or kind of go back, an entrepreneur is, by definition, a person who starts and runs their own business, taking on the risk and rewards involved in creating a new venture, often by identifying opportunities and developing innovative ideas to bring products or service to market. I always make the statement that I was born an entrepreneur. I guess I just really was, because for one, my mom always tells me that I have expensive taste, and guess what? I need to be an entrepreneur to be able to afford it. And I can agree with her that I truly do have an entrepreneur spirit, meaning that for the majority of my adult life, or actually as soon as I was able to work, I've always worked at least 1 to 2 to 3 jobs. People are like, why, Renee? Why would you do that? That's like insane. So me being me, and just again, kind of accrediting the way I was raised. I was raised that if you want something, you work for it and you go get it. That way you don't have to ask anybody any questions. You don't have to ask anybody for it. And guess what? If you pay for it, then nobody can come and repossess it. It's yours. So early on in my entrepreneurship, I did not build a lot of credit because, again, I was paying cash for a lot of my business items, not knowing at that time that business credit is very important to being an entrepreneur. So we've talked about that in previous shows, and I'll kind of go over just a little bit now. Being an entrepreneur means that, again, you do have to establish business credit or business worthy transactions. Not only that, but they also do look at your personal credit and your personal history. So those things also play a part in being an entrepreneur and being credit worthy as far as business is concerned. Now, being an advocate in being an entrepreneur, I advocate for healthy business credit. What does that mean? Well, that means this. When people come to me and ask me, Renee, how did you start your businesses? Or how are you successful in your businesses? How did you do this and how did you do that? I do not gatekeep. What that means is that I'm more than willing to share and try to help anyone out that's willing to help themselves. It's my right, it's my duty, and it's my advocacy, meaning that I want everyone to be successful. People ask me all the time, well, what if somebody's doing the same thing you're doing? Go for it. You know what? If I've inspired you to do any of the things that I do as far as a career choice, I'm happy. That means I've done my job. That means you've seen something in me doing my job, being an entrepreneur or running my business that encouraged you to want to do the same thing. And if not better, I'm all for it. The reason why I have that mentality is because coming up in the industry and being a business owner and entrepreneur, so many people did not do that for me. So many people were gatekeepers, whereas, and I hate to say it this way, but especially in our community, people want you to be successful as long as you're not more successful than them. And that's so backwards. I can say that because, again, Yizer Media is our own platform, and I don't have to worry about getting banned from there. But people think so backwards a lot of times, whereas they feel like if you are successful, that's fine. But again, they don't want you to be more successful than they are. I feel sorry for those kind of people because, again, what's for you is for you. That is, if anything, it makes it where people won't want to work with you because they feel like you are not going to be truthful and or helpful in whatever business or industry that you're in. Does that mean that you are cautious and you keep people away from you that are going to be negative or that are going to be backbiting or that are going to be misleading or deceitful and try to sabotage you in your business? Yes, I'm not saying don't do those things because, again, you do have a business to run and protect, and this is your livelihood. This is what's feeding you and your family, or whatever your family structure is. If it's just you, if it's you and your husband, wife, if it's you and your children, this is what is making your living. So you do want to be careful, but you don't want to gatekeep. Part of also being an advocate says this. Again, depending on your industry, say, for instance, you are a restaurant owner. I know here in Indianapolis, Indiana, we have several restaurants that are community-based or family-owned, right? If that restaurant says, because we have people come from all over the world, if someone homeless comes in and they're hungry, we're not going to feed them because we don't want to bother our guests that may be here, that may be celebrities, or what have you. Is that really them being an advocate for the community? No, it's not. No matter what a person's status is, that, if anything, says to me, if I'm the consumer going in this restaurant and I see this homeless person come in and see this person ask for help, And if the restaurant says, I can't help you because we have these celebrities in here today, that is a real major turnoff to me. And that means they're not going to earn my dollars anymore. You can think what you want to think. You can feel how you want to feel about that. And again, each of us are entitled to our own opinions. But as an entrepreneur and an advocate, that is a major no-no to me. Now, does it mean that I am saying, okay, all the homeless people go into this restaurant and they have to feed you without you paying? No, I'm not. Because again, that's still that person's bottom line. That's their family's living. I understand. But it does mean this. If that person keeps coming to you as an entrepreneur and an advocate, you need to find resources to help that person be fed not only for a day, but for a lifetime. If that means helping that person get into a shelter, that means helping that person get into a clinic to get medical attention, whether it's mental, physical, what have you, if it means helping that person get resources, that's what you need to do. Too many of us so many times become so cold-hearted or disheartened to our everyday people, no matter what your status. I was having a conversation with my CEO of Yizer Media today, and we talk, of course, several times a week because, that is just our industry, our nature. And he actually brought up a very, very good point. And when he brought up the point, he said this. If you look at our millionaires, billionaires, or higher tiered persons that have been entrepreneurs, that have started businesses, what have you, they're not about the flash. A lot of times, if you were to meet this person on the street, unless you really, really knew who they were, you wouldn't know they were a billionaire or a millionaire. Why is that, you think? Because of this. Their entrepreneurship has allowed them to have a platform to advocate for other things. It's not about making the money or their status. It is about, however, them being able to live their lives. What do I mean by that? Well, even as an entrepreneur, my goal is definitely to make billions and billions of dollars in my businesses. But even with that, I never want to have the kind of life where I can't walk down the street and feel, that I'm not safe. I'll go back to the tragedy of the CEO of the healthcare company that was recently unalived. He was walking to his conference to give a presentation to board members and what have you. He felt comfortable being able to walk down the street even as a CEO of a major conglomerate. Should he be able to do so? Of course he should. Was that advocate in a way to say right for taking his life? Of course not. But guess what? They both had a position in that right or that stance, which is healthcare. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So being an advocate means that, again, you are standing for something. Do I encourage violence in advocacy? No, I don't. So please, no hate mail. Don't say Renee said she believes that people can kill and or should kill being an advocate. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, again, stand on what you stand on. 10 toes down, as a lot of the younger kids say these days. Let's talk about some of our greatest entrepreneurs. Of course, they're going to be your typicals. Your Mr. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, who is, a whole different person to me. I'm not going to go there. I'm not. Miss Oprah Winfrey, Larry Page, Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and Mukesh Ambani, or just some to say a few of our known 21st century entrepreneurs. What are these people kind of famous for? You have to look at that. You also look at their advocacy. What are they doing with their dollar as being entrepreneurs? What are they doing with their voice as being an advocate and an entrepreneur? Of course, we know that Mr. Elon Musk has had some dealings with our current presidents. And again, I don't want to go political. I don't want to do it. I just don't. But I will say this. It only takes the right opportunity for someone to show their true colors. I'll leave it at that. You can have your opinion. You can say what you wish. But guess what? Being an entrepreneur sometimes allows or gives someone the platform to be racist, bigot, whatever word you want to use. Again, I'm not going to get into all of the words and not going to go on to the political side of things, but you would never, and I can say this is my opinion as a consumer, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I will never own a Tesla. I will never own a Tesla. I will never have stock in Tesla. I will never spend my dollars in companies that are filled with hate. That's the way I'll put it. Have I experienced hate myself from these individuals? Yes and no. Being an entrepreneur, being a woman, I have had some things happen and certain experiences that I have had happen. And I won't even bring into race and or color or ethnicity. Because again, I said it in the beginning of the show, and I'll say it again. Dollar bills are green. Credit cards or whatever color they are. At the end of the day, my dollars have power. Just like yours do. You choose which business to put your dollars into. That's part of me being an entrepreneur and an advocate. I can advocate on my behalf as an entrepreneur, as a consumer, as a person, as a human being, which companies I want to spend my dollars at. Does that mean that someone may not spend their dollars with me because of who I am, because of how I look? Possibly so. But guess what? It doesn't stop my business. I still have a community to serve. Again, that community goes throughout the state of Indiana, the state of Texas, the state of Georgia, the state of Ohio, the state of Michigan, and whatever other states I'm licensed in. That's my community. No matter, again, if you're a white, black, man, woman, transgendered, whatever. My goal as an entrepreneur and as an advocate is to help people be insured. That's one of my businesses. That's my main business right now, is my insurance agency. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to make sure that the people, keyword, people are served. I'm an advocate for being insured. I'm an advocate for being healthy. I am an advocate for human rights. That's what I do. I'm also an entrepreneur, meaning that I have a business to run. I have businesses to run. Everything I do in my business is predicated upon successful marketing, successful planning, and also the products selling themselves, basically. The reason why I say that my products sell themselves is because insurance is a need that we all have in some shape, way, or form. Whether it's life insurance to make sure that your family will be taken care of in the event that you are unalive, whether it is health insurance for an entrepreneur, because a lot of companies are not even offering health insurance anymore on a group basis, whether it is your home or auto insurance, whether you are renting a property, whether you are a business owner. Those are the kind of things that I'm an entrepreneur for, and I advocate for being an insurance broker. Now, I've talked a lot, I'm sorry, but I do want to make sure you understand, again, the terms entrepreneur versus advocate and how they kind of coincide with each other. So let's talk about some of our famous advocates of the 21st century. So there are several listed, of course, and you can always research. I definitely encourage you to research. There are, of course, a lot of women's rights activists. There are what they call suffragists, meaning that they deal with people in suffering kind of situations. And then there are, of course, what people are considering human rights activists. Here locally in Indianapolis, we do have a new governor. Our new governor is part of the MAGA administration, meaning that he was actually handpicked per se from our now president to actually be campaigning and running for governor here in Indiana. He actually ran for he ran for another position before he ran for governor, which was mayor, and he didn't get that. So when he didn't get that, he then became a gubernatorial candidate, and he won that election. So nevertheless, again, I will never tell you who to vote for. I will only tell you to vote. And I'm glad you did vote. He is enacting or trying to get certain bills passed here in the state of Indiana or in the city of Indianapolis as our governor that a lot of our community activists are not happy with. One of them is getting our only, I hate to say it this way, but our only Black institution, as far as a college is concerned, defunded. Again, I'll refer back to my brother Gregory Merriweather. He actually brought up some very great points, and I will speak from a personal point of view on why I feel that university made it easy to be defunded. Again, being an entrepreneur, I have sought out some education, or I have degrees that I don't use, of course, but I do have degrees, college degrees. When I was thinking of what school to go to, I investigated a number of different universities here in the state of Indiana and here in the city of Indianapolis. The reason why I did not choose this institution was several. For one, I'm very much a person that believes that customer service is key. As an entrepreneur, I always think of things, or when I'm dealing with the public or an institution or a place of business, on how I would want to be serviced or taken care of. So if I walk into your institution and I'm not greeted, or it's very dry, or is unprofessional, or it's aggressive to the point where I feel like, okay, maybe you're having a bad day and you just need to go home and try it again, that kind of weighs on me. Meaning this, anyone can have a bad day. As an entrepreneur, I understand that. Trust me, I do. I have a sign here in my office, even that says, no coffee, no working. A lot of times I'm not as talkative in the mornings as I am towards the afternoon or in the middle of the day. A lot of times that's because, again, that's just how I am as a person. That's who I am. People that know me know it doesn't mean that I'm going to be rude to you. I'm going to be aggressive or anything like that. Just give me my coffee. Give me a minute. Let me get my thoughts together, and then we can proceed from there, right? Let's go. Now, with that being said, again, I'm going into this as an entrepreneur, looking for a place to further my education, to further enhance my businesses, to be able to transition from, employee to employer. If I have a negative experience, again, it's going to probably mean this. I'm not going to necessarily badmouth you, because, again, I can't make anyone form an opinion against you. I'm not going to badmouth you. Now, don't get me wrong. As a consumer, I have written several reviews. I actually have a platform on Google Review where they actually have had my reviews go national, especially if it was involving a national chain. So I'm very much an advocate for using my voice. That still being said, I'm still going to give people the right to form their own opinions about this institution, about this business, about what have you. I'm merely going to state my experience with them. Again, I try not to make it in such a negative light because, again, every person is free to form their own opinion. And I don't want to be the reason why someone cannot make a living. That's just my personal belief. That's just my habits, my way of thinking, my life. Not everybody's like that. You have some people that will come in and complain about your business just because the sky is gray today and they want it to be blue. I say that jokingly, but you understand what I'm saying. There's going to be people that you never can make happy being an entrepreneur or business owner. It just happens. That's part of life. Some people are just unhappy with themselves to the point where no matter what you do, you can give them A1 top tier service and they're still not going to be happy. On the other side of that, be an advocate for entrepreneurship and business ownership. And because I do encourage people to open their own businesses, to own their own businesses, because if you think about it this way, no one's job is secure. Working for someone else, even being an entrepreneur, really is predicated upon or is based upon what you do, your business, your industry, and how people feel coming to your business, their experience with you, what have you. Again, I am an advocate for people being innovative and forward thinkers. I remember a conversation, probably I'll say 5 years ago now, even about AI and people being scared on how that would affect industries. Being an entrepreneur, you have to think of, or you have to be aware of, you have to place yourself in the position of being able to change with the industries, with the nations, because again, things change daily. How do you spell survivorship? CHANGE, change. That's how you spell it, because you have to be able to adapt and move, become fluid with industries, depending on where, again, what industry you're in and how things are kind of going. Now, what I will also say to that as an entrepreneur is you still have to have your foundation that you're going to be standing on. That is part of me also being an advocate, because there are some things that I will not do. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I don't have to. Does that mean that I may lose some customers? Maybe. Does it mean that I can come home and go to sleep at night because I feel like I've done what was right in my eyes and in my book and by my religion or what have you? Yes, that does. That means I get to come home and I get to go to sleep, because again, at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, my thing is to make sure that people's needs are met. Now, on the other token of that, again, as an entrepreneur, you also have to remember that not everyone has that same mentality. Meaning that, and I'm praying against it, I can say it that way. I am praying against these kind of things happening. But with the changes that are going on, I honestly can see walking into a restaurant and being told, I don't want to service you. Maybe because I have on a blue skirt that day. Or maybe because my hair is a certain way. Do I see those kind of things happening and coming? Yes, I do. It's unfortunate. You would think as an entrepreneur, people understand that because of who I am or my appearance does not mean that I cannot and would not support your business. Now, that brings the other point up in this. Not all dollars are good dollars. What do you mean by that, Renee? I'll tell you. Let's shall. What I mean by that is this. If I have a person that is spewing hate, or that I know that is purposely going to defraud the insurance system, I don't want them as my customer. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I don't want that kind of customer, because in the long run, it's going to end up costing my business and other businesses, actually, and other consumers more money. Insurance is a transfer of risk. And I'm just using this as an example so that you understand as an entrepreneur, or, you can get context in what I'm kind of trying to say. Knowing that insurance is a transfer of risk, My goal as an insurance broker is to help minimize that risk for the bottom line of my company. At the same time, I have the responsibility as an insurance broker to make sure that the people's needs are being met, that they are insured for when they do need to be insured, whether it's a car accident, whether it's a home owner's claim. I think I've shared in some broadcasts before, I've had some homeowners claims here at my own home. Whereas I was acting like Fire Marshal Bill from, In Living Color. Shh. No, my claim's already paid. I already took care of it. But, I had an instance where I had a small fire here at my home and had to file a claim, but I had to look at it as that claim can affect my neighbor's rates, can affect any one of my other members of my insurance company's rates. That's, again, why we pay insurance, though, because we want to be able to transfer that risk and have the insurance company take on the majority of the expense in the event that something happens like that, where we have a fire, because it could have been so much worse versus costing maybe a few $1,000s. It could have cost upwards of a few $100,000. I don't have that in my bank account right now to be able to just fork that out. Some people may, and that's fine. I'm happy for you if you do, which is I really hope you do. But, you have to think of, again, why we have insurance. So, again, that's, part of my entrepreneur kind of kicking in and my advocacy kicking in. When you think of advocacy, a lot of times people think of it just being about human or civil rights. I definitely encourage you to go to our museums that we have. There are several human rights museums, including the one there in Atlanta, Georgia, which is the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. We also have a National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. And of course, even in Canada, they have a museum for human rights in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So, I encourage you to go to these museums to kind of see how throughout our centuries, people have been challenged or have had to fight for what's considered human rights. Human rights can be something as simple as being able to walk out your door without someone telling you that you can. I know it sounds crazy to say it that way, but we as a people take for granted all of our human rights a lot of times. Simple things, again, like home ownership or being able to work for employers or being able to open a business. Entrepreneurship has taken on several different facets, the last few years especially. If you open a business with the anticipation, again, of you're just opening that business to make money, not to be a service to the people or to be an advocate, you're not going to gain the customer base that you think you would. I say that to say this, and I'm going to wrap things up. I hope you have enjoyed this show. I hope that you will rewatch it. I hope that you will share it. I hope that you will go to code1035.com, watch not only this, but our other shows as well on our platform. I hope that you will go to shopyizer.com and take part in our fundraiser. And again, if you are interested in sponsoring any of our shows or doing the fundraisers, make sure you go to, or you can email rather, marketing@Yizzor, YIZZOR.com. And then someone from the staff will get back to you. But tonight's show has been about entrepreneurship versus advocacy and how they kind of coincide or correlate with each other. Again, I hope that I have brought up some great points. If you have left comments, I will definitely try to answer those after the show is over. I appreciate you taking the time to even watch, share, and follow us, the whole Yizzor media team. Yizzor, again, is founded and to be about helping the entrepreneur move forward and the forward thinkers of today's time. So I say thank you for watching. I encourage you again to be an entrepreneur, do it smart, Do it wise. Also be an advocate because, again, remember, if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Don't get distracted by the social media grabs, as I call them. Whereas they're saying, hey, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this, focus on DEI, but we have this going on over here where they're actually taking away rights. Focus on DEI, but they're actually doing things over here where they're trying to blame employees for being chosen by DEI, but not addressing the real issue on why we have all of these planes and helicopters crashing with each other. I will say that. It wasn't too long ago, if you pay attention or if you remember or recall, it wasn't too long ago that we had a whole cargo ship crash into a bridge. And there were so many lives lost, and we are definitely praying for and with those families that lost their loved ones in that incident and even this most recent incident. And then you just had another incident. We have our kids in schools taking guns and killing people and unaliving themselves, all because of feeling like they cannot be themselves. Yes, it starts in the home. But us as entrepreneurs and advocates, we have to speak with these young ladies and these young men. We have to advocate for them. We have to be an ear. A lot of times, that's all it takes is someone to listen to them and tell them it's going to be okay. As a Christian person, and I can say this as a Christian person, do I agree with everything that they do? No. My parents didn't agree with everything I decided to do in my life. Just like their parents didn't agree with everything they decided to do in theirs. But guess what? It doesn't mean that we love each other any less. Let's get back to loving each other. Let's get back to advocating for the right, no matter who is in office, no matter what political party you are with. Let's get back to doing that. Entrepreneurs, stay encouraged. Keep on the grind. Stay in grind mode, but don't get burnt out. It's easy to do. I know it's very easy to do. What I'll say to you is this: if you are a beginning entrepreneur and you do have to work for someone, maybe like on a 9-to-5 job, guess what? Just as many hours as you put in for working for someone else, put those same hours into being an entrepreneur and working for yourself. Can it be tiring that way? Yes. But guess what? You are building the foundation for a successful business and a successful relationship with your community. Make sure you like, share, and follow us on Yizer Media and go to code1035.com. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe there. So again, you can see not only this show, but all of our shows on the Yizer Media lineup. So this has been RenaeThaDiva. I'm going to say goodnight for now. Until next time. Bye-bye.